Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome back to another on-the-road video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Today, we will take a look at this Amana freestanding gas range. We will show you how to remove and replace your spark module. To begin this repair, we must first remove the cooktop. Stop. Before beginning any repair, always be sure to disconnect the power to the appliance. It is also recommended to test the outlet for the proper voltage. The tool you will need to complete this repair is a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. The reasons why you'd be replacing a spark module is if one or more of your burners will not ignite, maybe none of them do, or whenever you're trying to turn on your burner switches, it may just turn off your breaker. To remove your cooktop, the first thing we'll need to do is remove this front plate here. Now to do so, we will pull off our knobs and set them aside. Next, open the door. There are 2 Phillips screws, one on each side, that are going to hold on your front cover. Remove the first one. When removing the second one, make sure you hold on to the front plate so that it doesn't fall off and get scratched. Pull down and slide off on the plate and set it aside. Now we have 2 screws on each corner, both Phillips. They're holding on the cooktop. We will have to remove these. Now that the other holding components are removed, next we'll start to remove our cooktop by taking off the grates, also the burner caps. Now, when removing your burner assemblies, you can do it with a Phillips screwdriver. To get a good bite, I do highly recommend using a number 2 square bit. Sometimes these screws will be old and they can strip out rather easily. The square bit will help prevent that. Next, we'll have to pull up on each individual burner cap, remove the wiring for the igniter. Do not pull hard if it is stuck in here, as you do not want to damage the wiring or the igniter when removing. Set your burner caps aside. Next, we will lift the top up gently. When lifting this, push down on your actual burner valve assemblies to make sure that they can't get damaged. We'll bring it up at an angle, wedge something underneath it to hold it standing up. There's 1 screw that is holding on your spark module that will have to be removed. It is held on by a Phillips screw. Once you have your screw removed, pull out on your spark module and gently set it down. You can remove whatever you use to prop it up, lift up and pull out on the cooktop and set it aside. Now that we have the cooktop removed, we have clear access to our spark module. Now the cooktop does not necessarily have to be removed to replace it, but it is a lot easier if it is removed. Now at this point, I highly recommend taking a picture of your spark module and of your wiring so that you can refer back to it. you do want the wires to be in the proper spot. Now, when testing your spark module, carefully you can test between the red wire and the white wire for incoming power, and when testing that, you'll want to turn one of your knobs on in order to send the voltage to the red wire. It will go through the black wire, come around and send the voltage over to the spark module as soon as you turn on the switch. Now, to replace it, first we will remove your wiring. Sometimes these wires can be rather stiff. Now, with your wires removed, we will remove the 2 Phillips screws that are holding it on to the bracket. Remove your spark module and set it aside. When installing your spark module, first we will line it up in place. Use your screwdriver to install the first holding screw. Give it a little turn so that it does line up on the opposite side. Reinstall the second screw. Next, we will refer back to our picture to see what wire goes where. Lining up, we had orange on the far outside square, followed by yellow, blue, the bright red. The white was on the very bottom terminal, and your light red was on the top terminal. Make sure your wiring is going in the proper direction. Now we can reinstall our cooktop. When installing your cooktop, we will put it in at an angle to get it in the correct position. Once we are there, once again, use something to prop up the cooktop. And once we do this, we will line up our spark module. We'll slide on, line up the screw hole. Start to install your screw by hand, just so it doesn't drop down into the frame. Next, we will tighten it up. Next, pull this out. We will slightly drop it down. When you're dropping it down, make sure that your burners line up with the cooktop holes. You may have to wiggle it around a little bit to get it perfect. And if they do not line up, you can use your fingers inside to kind of set it in the correct place. Make sure they are in. You may have to reach underneath during this part, so be aware that sometimes it is rather difficult to get them in the correct place. And the reasons why you have to reach underneath is to reinstall your igniter wiring. It's hard to pull the wiring through to reinstall, but if you would like to, you can fish the wire through, reinstall the igniter, slide it back in. fish the wire through. Reinstall the igniter. Drop down your burner, and we will do the same all the way around. Last one doesn't give us a whole lot of room, but you can reach your arm back in there once again, reinstall the igniter harness, slide it back into place. Make sure our cooktop is setting properly. Look underneath, give it a good check. Now at this point, we have to reinstall the screws for the burners. So we'll just check to make sure that they are pushed up properly. You may have to wiggle them a little bit to get them right in place. Do not give them too much movement because you can damage the actual piping for your gas lines. Start to reinstall your screws. Do not use a lot of torque on this. Do it very gently, just in case it's pulling a weird direction. And that one, when we started going in, it started getting tough. So I backed it out, did just a quarter turn, and then put it back in. That allowed it to get a good bite. Now the last one here is going to be rather difficult because the piping is dropping our assembly back down. So I'm going to line it up again, line up where the burner goes, give it a little twist, and I'll start the first one. That worked out well. It drew the line back up, but if for some reason it is not, what you can do is just put your arm underneath, push up while putting the screw in. Next, we will reinstall our burner caps. Reinstall our grates. Now we can reinstall the front cover. Next, install the two holding screws underneath. We will slide on our front panel again. Now on your front panel, you have two slotted areas that will correspond with these notches that come off of the frame. So slide it in. Make sure it is held in those notches. We will reach underneath and by hand just put in the first holding screw. This is just to keep it from dropping. Make sure it's guided in on that side. Once again, by hand, just put in your other holding screw. Use your screwdriver to tighten. Reinstall all of our knobs. . And this will complete your repair. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.